So here's what I want to dive into now is I want to dive into actually how to set up a calendar. How many of you guys right now, if I look at your calendar, there's nothing in it other than maybe like picking up your kids or something, like things you have to do. I have an assumption that a lot of you in here, if I pull up your calendar, there's either nothing in it or there's a bunch of bullshit in it that you just completely blow off. Is that fair to say? Like you just give a head now. You don't have to raise your hand and draw a lot of attention. And I see a lot of your heads nodding internally, right? Like that's what's happening. Most of you guys have no fucking calendar. And I promise you, if you show me your calendar, if you give me your calendar every week and you check off, what did you do? What did you not do? I will tell you how much money you're going to make. I will literally predict your future. If you can just show me your calendar the last 7 days, I will tell you how much money you will make in this industry in the next year if you continue what you're doing. I promise you, I could tell you based on your calendar. But you got to show me not only what's in it, but how good of a job did you do following it. And if you show me that, I will literally tell you, this is how much money you're going to make. And most of you, if you show me your calendar right now and you show me what you did and what you didn't do over the last week, you would be embarrassed. I would tell a lot of you, you're going to make $0 fucking dollars because you're either not putting anything in your calendar or you're blowing off everything that you do put in there. So I want to help you guys understand, one, how to build your calendar out, how to prioritize things. I'm going to give you an ideal weekly schedule. Guess what? You've actually been provided it before, but we're going to reinforce it. And then we're going to talk about what to do within some of these time blocks in here. So when you guys are setting up your calendar, this is the order that we need to put things into the calendar. Number one, most important thing, non-negotiable, family and religion. Nothing is going to trump those ever. The only thing that I will ever allow you to tell me for a reason why you didn't get your prospecting in is those two. Those are 1A, 1B. Family, religion. That trumps everything. Your kid is sick. You have a commitment with your church or wherever it is that you believe in. Cool. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But any other bullshit you give me is purely bullshit because nothing else in this business should come in the way of prospecting. Because how much is our time worth when we actually prospect? $1,000 an hour, roughly. You guys play around with your numbers. I don't care. We're going to run with 1,000 because it makes this a lot easier. $1,000 an hour. Why would I fuck with anything else? If I know this is the highest dollar per hour activity that I could possibly have, nothing in my calendar is more important other than family and religion. I will never, ever replace prospecting with anything that's going to come below here. The only thing that can replace this is family or religion. That's it. No fucking home inspection, no appraisal, no, oh, I got to go hang a sign. Oh, I got to go to DMV. Fuck all of that. You're literally replacing $1,000 activity with something that's worth substantially less. There is nothing else you will do in this business that is going to be more valuable than prospecting. But what I'm going to assume is a lot of you either don't have prospecting in your calendar or you do, and then you find any excuse possible to replace it. Anything you do, like, oh, man, I know I'm supposed to call, but yeah, the inspector says he's available Tuesday at 9, so I'll just do that instead of prospecting. Oh, you know what? Like, I need to go and I need to go pick up dog food. I'm gonna go do that. Like, fuck all of that. Like, this is the highest dollar producing activity that there is in this industry. The next one, number 3.
So where do you have health at on number 1?
What's that? Hell?
Yeah, health. HEALTH. My health.
Okay, we could throw that on there, but no, because then you guys are gonna come up with some bullshit. I got to go to the gym at 9 o'clock. Fuck that.
No, fuck. Like people that have real doctor's appointments.
You schedule them around prospecting. You can schedule it around, unless it's an emergency and you're about to die. You're gonna prospect. I know. Of all the agents who've ever been with this company, one of the ones who is still crushing it today, Sonia Zizi, fucking love her. That girl will prospect in the ER. She would say, I don't give a fuck. I'm in the ER. I will prospect. I don't care. She does not let anything get in her way. Like, she's a straight honey badger. Number 3 on the list is your follow-up calls. in any given day, I would recommend that you're spending at least an hour on prospecting and an hour on follow-up calls. If you guys don't have the checklist, there's a checklist, perfect10.kylewhissel.com, that gives you the 10 things to do every single day if you really want to crush it in this industry. If you just follow that checklist, you will make well over 6 figures. One of the hours that's on there is prospecting, and one of the hours that's on there is your follow-up calls. So make sure that you are following up with people.
Is that perfect 10?
Perfect10.kylewhissel.com. Yeah. Yes, prospecting is new business. People you've never spoken to, generating new opportunities. So that could be things like door knocking. That could be things calling expireds, calling FSBOs, circle prospecting. That could be, what was that? I would give the pond, we'll call that prospecting, right? Like, because those aren't leads that you've already have into your system. So I will give you the pond will equal prospecting. Anything that's reaching out to new people. If you're calling attorneys, maybe you're trying to build a relationship with a divorce attorney, a bankruptcy attorney, you're trying to prospect banks, you're trying to prospect all these different things. Anything that's going to generate new business, new contacts, new relationships is prospecting. Follow-up calls is following up with the people that are already in your system. Next up is open houses. One could argue that open houses are a form of prospecting. I would literally, and we'll talk about this when we get into the calendar, I would build my fucking business around open houses if I was brand new, because guess what open houses allow you to do? It gives me a very good reason to go knock on somebody's door. It gives me a very good reason to circle prospect. It gives me a reason to put signs all over the neighborhood. It gives me a reason to do a lot of things that otherwise are hard. It's hard to just like, I'm going to farm these 6 blocks of North Park and to go knock them like, hi, I'm the neighborhood realtor. Here's a calendar. Like, that's tough. But if you go there and you're actually inviting them to an event, it becomes a lot easier. So open houses would be up there. Then going on appointments. Appointments, now, again, these things can't replace what's above them, only below them. So you don't book appointments over these things. But a lot of you guys do. And a lot of you guys, you talk to a client and they're like, yeah, I want to go see 123 Main Street. You're like, cool, pick any time in the world, 6 a.m., 6 p.m., whenever the hell you want, ideally over my prospecting. So ideally, like, can we go do it at 9 o'clock? Because that's prospecting time and I really don't want to prospect. So can we do it? Because then I feel better about justifying my bullshit excuse of why I didn't prospect. So I'm going to book an appointment over prospecting, but then I can be like, yeah, but it was for an appointment, so it's okay. No, not okay. These things do not replace up. You can only replace what's below. So you cannot replace your open house with appointments. You cannot replace, which some of you guys have done this shit, where you commit to an open house and then you're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I got an appointment. No, you don't. Your appointment is going to happen either before or after your open house. That's some bullshit, especially if you're doing an open house for somebody else. I don't know if you realize how bad you fuck the listing agent when you guys do that. Don't do that. You commit to an open house, you commit, because how you show up to something is how you show up to everything. So appointments don't replace these. Appointments can replace what's down here, but they don't replace these. Next up on the list, Brian. There you go. You can just click for me. Transaction follow-up. This is very important. You need to make sure that you are following up on your transactions. You should have a weekly check-in with every seller that you have and let them know, especially because your sellers are freaking out right now. You need to talk to them on a weekly basis and let them know how it's going. Everybody that you guys have in your hot category or you have VIP agreements signed, you should be checking in with them every single week. You got to stay on top of these things. Every deal that you have in escrow, you got to make sure at a minimum once a week that you're following up on all of these things, because you need to make sure that you're providing a good experience for the client. Because if you don't provide a good experience for the client's not going to refer you and they're not going to work with you again. So it's very important that we make sure we stay on top of all of that. And then you're going to have things like meetings, like this meeting. And I appreciate basically every single agent in the company either being physically here or being on Zoom, because I think there's about 70 of you guys, and you combine the number on there with the number that's here. I'm really excited about that. So I appreciate so many of you guys being present for the meetings. That's also blocking. Like yesterday, we did deal doctoring. I think there was like 10 people on. It's kind of crazy to me. I would be on there every week, especially if I was new, because whatever situation the people that are on there are sharing, whatever they're dealing with, you are going to deal with. Whether you deal with it this week, next week, next year, you're going to deal with whatever they're dealing with. So learn from other people's situations and their issues that they're facing, so that when you run into that situation or that issue, you know how to overcome it and you don't freak out, you don't panic. It's very valuable. You've got this on Tuesday. You've got the role play on Wednesday, which I think anybody who doesn't go to that's crazy. Because again, go back to those conversion numbers that we have. We're way off where we should be. So you should be going to that. There's tune-up Thursdays, where you're going back and you're getting a refresher on things that you've already been trained on that you maybe need a little refresh on. You got the office hours on Friday. Like I would have a lot of those things in my calendar. I'd have the morning role play and the morning huddle in my calendar. Like those things should be in there. Then office work. Now we're finally, but most of you are spending so much freaking time on this, just trying to fill the day. Let me clarify real quick. Posting on Instagram is not prospecting. I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Prospecting is not posting on Instagram. That's not prospecting. Now, if you were strategic, I just want to come back. So if you're strategic and you did a post of like, do you live in your dream home? And then all the people that say no, you start DMing them and engaging in conversations. I'll give you that might be like follow-up. Well, I might give you that. I'm not going to give you prospecting because that's not new business, but I might give you follow-up calls on that. But office work now is where we're like checking emails and all of that stuff. Then I think you should have a little time in your calendar for business planning. If you guys didn't see, I posted, we're doing an event at Snapdragon in 2 weeks. You guys are all very welcome to come to that event. Dan and I are hosting it. We're going to share how to build a business plan, a very simple 2-page business plan. So if you're committed to your business, I would recommend that you guys register for that. So you should actually have some business planning. So I'd probably come to that. Now we'll have a session on our vision casting. That's going to be a light version of what we're doing on the 16th. But if you want the heavy version, I would go to that event on the 16th. We'll literally build the full 2-page business plan. And then you should be checking in with yourself or your assistant if you have one on a weekly basis. And then PTO. I actually have PTO blocked into my calendar. I think this is very important. This is very healthy. You need to maintain some sanity because if you don't actually block some time off for yourself, you're going to lose your freaking mind. And then you'll have mental health issues. So these are all the priorities. And now, again, you can only replace things that are below you, cannot replace with above. So you can't replace appointments with office work, right? You can't replace follow-up calls with transaction follow-up, right? This is the order of importance. So it's important to make sure you're not replacing the important activities with activities just to fill the clock, because I watch far too many people do everything in their power to fill an 8-hour day, but most of you are filling your 8-hour day with the bottom 5. That's what a lot of you guys are doing, is 8 hours of the bottom 5 and doing everything in your power to avoid the top 5, or really the 4 within here. You guys are just trying to avoid it. But again, how much is our time worth if we're actually prospecting and dialing? $1,000 an hour, right? So let's make sure that we build around that.